Welcome, guests. We are looking forward to talking about Google Analytics 4, what that means for your law firm, how to set it up appropriately. We're going to give everyone about one more minute. I'll be introducing myself in a minute, but my name is Brent Harkins. And so, yeah, give us one moment and we'll be kicking this off with David Davis here. So, David, why don't you feel free to kind of get us going whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Thanks, Brent. And thanks to everyone that's joining us today. This will be recorded. So if you guys don't have the opportunity to catch it all today, we'll be able to send this out to you guys later down the road. So you guys can review this at a later date there. Going to get started here in a few more minutes, kind of let everyone kind of get settled in here for another minute or two. But we're excited to really cover GA4, what it means for law firms, and how to really dial in the platform to cater to your business needs at the end of the day. So we got some good content to cover for you guys today, and then also to do a live demo within one of our own law firms here within Denver, Colorado. So I think we're ready to get started.
Great.
Awesome. Well, again, my name is David Davis. I am the Senior Search Engine Marketing Manager here at Cardinal Concepts. We have Brenda's here as well today. We'll introduce ourselves here in a moment. But what we're going to be covering is why GA4 matters, a little bit about the overview, understanding what critical metrics for success means to your law firm compared to what Google kind of gives you out the box. And then, like I mentioned, we're going to do a live demo of GA4 setup within the back end of GA there. And then obviously we can definitely open it up to questions and then provide you guys with some next steps if you have some opportunities with that. So Brent, we have today our CMO and co-founder of Cardinal Concepts. You have myself, David Davis. I'm the Senior SIM Manager here as well too. I personally have around 6 years of experience within the law firm industry as a whole, coming back from more of an agency background prior to that, but really have found great success within this industry, within multiple geography markets that we have across the United States. So really hoping and really happy to kind of dive in and provide you guys with some good opportunities just from the knowledge that we've had and been able to create over time. Allow Brent to introduce himself as well.
Yeah, hey everyone, Brent Harkins here, CMO, co-founder of Cardinal Concepts, and we are a marketing agency that specializes in law firm marketing, consulting, so everything from lead generation to content development, your technology stack consulting, operations. Myself and my partner, attorney David Crum, started this agency after growing his own law firms to over 85 employees, over 30 associates across multiple states. So, we're not just coming to you as an agency. We actually work within our own law firms as well. So we understand what the day-to-day looks like. We work with attorneys exclusively each and every day. So we're really excited to share our insights to Google Analytics 4 and what that means to you. So one quick note, this has been a long time coming. Google announced this almost over a year ago that a change was happening. So you still have a few months to start preparing for that sunset of universal analytics. But Google is actively working on your GA4 accounts. So perfect timing on this, and we're excited to kick it off.
Great. Thanks, Brent. Without further ado, we're going to dive right into it and cover why this matters to your law firm. So Brent just kind of mentioned it. Universal Analytics, the sunset date currently right now is July 1st, 2023. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means any of the old goals, key metrics that you relied on to grow your business and to monitor success will no longer process data moving forward from that date. Also, that access to that data will be gone after 6 months. There's not a date that Google has announced yet on that, But within due time, anything that we want from that profile and platform of the old Universal Analytics will no longer be there. So what does that mean? Well, Google is now making a big push for this new GA4. And out the box, it provides a lot of flexibility, but it requires a lot of manual setup, which equals a lot of time consuming and money spent on building out this platform. Whereas prior, Universal Analytics had everything kind of pre-built out for, users like us and marketers like us to really dive in and critique and pull that data to where the trends that we need to. Now they are giving you a blank state and allowing you to create all that. So if you were looking for more updates on that, I provided a link there just straight from Google to kind of get you a little bit more up to speed if you haven't been familiar with that. And so when all this information came out, I felt like Kevin in this situation. A lot of marketers most likely were as well too. So if you felt this way, you're not alone, right? So knowing that nothing moving forward is really going to be too daunting, it's going to be a hurdle that you will have to obviously get through and get past and create and then monitor yourself there. So as we get into it, what is the difference between GA4 and Universal Analytics? At the end of the day, GA4 is moving to an event-based tracking, whereas the old Universal Analytics was generated by session-based. So they had an idea of how many sessions a potential user was coming to your site and collecting data as those sessions went on. Well, now Google's going off of more of a data-driven event-based tracking. And what I mean by that is events such as someone clicking a button to fill out a form, watching a video to completion, downloading an ebook. Those are all events-based tracking that Google wants you to set up. These do not come set up for you. So this is where the customization comes in, that you really have to dive in and dedicate to your practice and your law firm there. Also, Google is also incorporating machine learning. As we all know, AI and machine learning is in full force, especially within the marketing industry as a whole. Google is trying to interject as much as they can within GA4 without going too far and down the line. That's Google kind of being Google. That's a term that we like to say here from time to time. But this helps, automatically identify important trends and patterns that you can easily see and digest and move forward with those actionable items. We'll cover a little bit about that within the live demo. But the two main purposes and the differences between GA4 and the old Universal Analytics is the event-based tracking and Google really incorporating more machine learning there.
I think that's a great overview, David. If I could just add, the thing that really prompted this is there's a lot more consumer privacy as a focus for your online engagements. And that's where Google determined that, they had to make a change. And that really puts the power in the user's hands, meaning that you have to set up these events. So I know we're going to be going over that, but that was kind of part of the reasoning for this transition from Universal Analytics, which we've all been using for over a decade, to GA4.
Yes. The privacy is down the road going to be a very big issue for a lot of marketers and such. So Google is kind of getting a little bit ahead of the curve to where they're curating that data a little bit better for privacy issues. But to extract that good data that you want, you need to customize the analytics here. So great point there, Brent. Thank you for bringing that up. So what's the issue with GA4? Well, I can tell you there's a couple of them, and I probably won't be the only one to mention these type of issues. But from this screenshot here, this is Google pre-built out of the box. This is what Google will roll out when you start a new G4 account. Provides a lot of data, but most importantly, the data can get lost in translation. What I mean by that is, as we can see here, these are all events that Google creates right out the box, like I mentioned. So page view, session start, first visit, user engagement, scroll. These are just to name a few at the very top of the list here. But what I can't tell you from this screenshot is how many calls they made or how many form fills we had to our law firm here. And so that's what I mean by the customization, that you need to take it a couple steps extra than what Google is presenting out the box. And so here, this provides us an opportunity to really showcase and tell Google what's important to our business, while page view, session starts, first visit, they all have meaningful results, as we can see from here. But at the end of the day, those are not the needle movers for the company and the money makers that we know. Generating phone calls and form submissions are the main purpose that we want to drive for any of our clients and our own personal law firms as well too. So with that being said, where do you go and how do you make this account dialed into your specific needs? You have to create events and you have to create the conversions itself there. So on this screenshot, like I mentioned, we can't tell phone calls and we can't tell events from this screenshot as a whole. But if you were going off of this and had not an understanding of what this information had looked like, you could think this is a good success coming from your site, which it could be depending on what your goals are set for. But at the end of the day, we know that we need to make the phone ring and we need to make those form submissions be filled out there.
Yeah, David, if I could add in, I mean, I think the key takeaway for attorneys and law firms right here is that if you do absolutely nothing, Google will still provide you some very high level data of key performance indicators that give you insight into how your website is performing. Obviously, page views and sessions are, long-standing KPIs that do let you know the amount of traffic that's going on. What that information won't tell you is the quality of traffic, and then any potential ROI to your actual law firm. So that's why it is important to have a plan in place to set up, these events that are going to be specific to your law firm. So, David, back to you, but I think we're about to dive into that.
Absolutely, yes. So where and how do you set up the events, conversions, and then also throwing in audiences? Because those three sections I think are very important for any industry, with any firm, within any buddy that's using this platform to manage their data. But two events that we're going to just cover today, at the very least, that you should have set up within your account would be two events. One would be phone calls, and the other one would be form submissions. Those are the two that I've been hounding in this webinar more than anything, because those obviously we know that we can contribute and track back to success of different marketing initiatives or in channels. So we want to track incoming phone calls from your website, and we want to track the incoming leads from the form submissions that are on the dedicated page as well too. So how do you do this? Well, you take your events that you dedicate out, you specifically map them out, and we'll get to that in the live demo on showing how to showcase, telling Google, okay, this is an event that we want to track, such as phone call and form submission. We then take that event name using the same naming convention and then tell Google in a different spot, as we can see here, in the conversion section, that's saying, hey, this event now is a conversion that we want you to monitor and collect data on. And so as it's a two-part process there, this is how you get to tell Google, saying, hey, these are important events and conversions that I want you to then report back on for me at a later date, and have some opportunities that we can go into. Now, using those same events and same conversions, you can then leverage your channels and turn them into actionable audiences. And what I mean by that, and we'll have this in the live demo here in a little bit, is, for instance, you can take your paid traffic, your paid search traffic, and turn them into an audience that has never converted. So that way you can then market to those audiences and curate maybe an opportunity to then get back in front of those potential users. Same with organic. If we only want to focus on US traffic, whereas we know we get traffic from international, but we do not want to see it, you can exclude international traffic. Same for social media, for example. Anything from our paid efforts to our organic. We want to know how many ebook downloads that we've had, or lead submissions coming from those channels as well too. So you can really take those channels that we've had and we've been able to really monitor over the years in the old universal analytics, now push them over into the new GA4 and throw on a little bit more strategy saying, hey, exclude people that have already filled out a form, and then that way you can figure out your non-converters there. So this section here, within the 3 buckets, if you go into the back end, you'll see the little gear icon. This is where all your settings are going to be at. If you haven't set up this account yet, this assistant does help out here, kind of step by step. Your property settings is where you're going to get everything dialed in on the account basis. And then your data streams is now your new tracking code where you get everything dialed in and make sure everything's talking. And then that's where the events, conversions, and audience that we just cover will live within there. And we'll get to those here in a minute. But now that we've kind of covered the events that we want to track, we then can see them and pull them into a report that we can see much clearly. And that way we can take some of those actionable items and move forward with our marketing efforts.
Yeah, I think what this means is that you really need to have a strategy in place to understand, okay, what are the important events within your website? Okay, when within the consumer journey does a conversion action happen? What's the difference between those two? Because as David alluded to, they are tied together. So understanding those differences is very important. But then a really exciting opportunity is with the, customization of the audiences and determining, you know, based on your clients, you can kind of work backwards and understand where people are coming from and help create different views of each target audience that you may be working towards. So, it's kind of limitless. It's just up to your own creativity and your own strategy that you put forth in this account.
That's correct. That's correct. It takes more heavy lifting in the front to get everything dialed in, to where then you can manage this account at a much easier rate once you have put in the legwork and dedication to get it dialed into what you want. So what does that mean? Well, now with our events created, we can then go and filter out and all the other events that we saw in the previous slide or two ago, page views and all that, and really focus on what's driving business. We know form submissions and phone calls at the end of the day. And so with this opportunity, we then can take the opportunity and strategize for either potential clients of ours or even our own projected law firms that we have, and potentially say, hey, we're generating X amount of leads. We're converting X amount of those leads. We know a 10% higher rate potentially off of those attorneys could yield up to potentially 40 leads of that attorney to get 4 hires, right? And so we personally believe every attorney should be able to generate 4 more hires per month. And so with the little formula that I just mentioned there, we at least know where we can at least opportunely pull in X amount of attorneys by just sheer numbers here off of it. And so at the end of the day, if you're seeing opportunity for opportunity that you're bringing in X amount of leads, you then can back that out and say, okay, if I want to bring on another associate, what does that look like? And that way you can game plan and make sure that the firm is heading in the direction of its growth that you're looking for. But we typically like to see anywhere of a new associate attorney coming on board that can potentially bring in roughly $250,000 in revenue to a new firm as well too, on top of what they're actually bringing in. So extracting this data can be very valuable to your firm, especially when you're strategizing if you're wanting to grow and dominate your market there.
So let me just add a couple caveats to this. So we focus on divorce and family law. So when we're looking at adding an attorney, our expectation is that a full caseload is anywhere in the range of 35 to 45 active cases at a time. And where David's getting the 4 new clients a month, we know that we require that number of new hires per month to maintain that active caseload once an attorney's already ramped up. And then based on their monthly billing goals, it's easy for us to forecast what that revenue means to the firm. So if you're an attorney that's either the managing attorney, partner, CEO, whatever it might be, you should have a focus on growth and expansion. If you're not growing, you're dying, is what we like to say. And so you need to understand what it takes to grow your practice. And this is the data that gives you the insights to do so. So like David said, we're able to then work backwards and we're able to see where the leads are coming from, and we're able to use a pretty simple formula and figure out exactly what it takes, what investments are required from a marketing budget perspective in order to achieve the goals that you might have. So it is really, really important. I cannot stress it enough that at a minimum baseline, you have these two primary conversion metrics. So you understand what channels your leads are coming from and where to invest your marketing budget.
Yes, and to just add one more point to that, Brent, it also helps Google understand what's important to your business for the engagement rate. So that is totally on par there. This allows Google then to say, okay, what's your engagement rate? What are engaged sessions? And so that's allows Google to really understand, okay, if these are events that we're pushing really heavy to have Google understand, this is how Google then starts to understand our potential clients are engaging with the website and to find obviously better opportunities within the data itself. This quick screenshot that we're looking at here is just from an organic search. I like to monitor new users by channel. This allows me to understand new opportunities that are coming into the door, not necessarily people that we maybe hit in other channels as well too, and that are coming back window shopping essentially. So this allows me to get an understanding of how many potentially new clients we can tap into. Also, I like to look at the engagement rate. This actively monitors potential new clients' engagement with your website and content. The higher the percentage, the better. So this engagement rate essentially is what Google is now wanting you to focus on outside of the bounce rate. The new GA4 does not have that metric that they track in here. So that is another differentiator from between the two, where Google in past was always stressing about the bounce rate. Now they want you to focus more on the engagement rate. And this gives you a better understanding on how users are engaging with your site, like I mentioned. So these three metrics here, I think, are very crucial and important for anybody that's looking at that. And you can go in and filter in these columns here to really showcase that information that you're looking for. So that leaves us right into our live demo. So without getting too far out of that, I have our real quick, just our home shot of our reports from Colorado Legal Group. This similar has the same setup from what we've seen within the old Universal Analytics. Same kind of setup where they're given these charts with some good information. Rather, some of it's good, some of it's not, right? This is Google just throwing whatever information they want on this page here. The machine learning and insights is what I was mentioning earlier that Google's injecting into this. And so this is a good opportunity to come in every now and then and just see what they're saying, right? As we can kind of see, organic search appeared as the last touch point in almost 60% of our conversions last month there. That's good information to kind of know. Obviously, there's a few other ones that you can go in, click in and view all insights. As we can see, organic definitely drives most of our traffic coming in. All across, right? We do get some traffic internationally on some of our stuff there, but mainly we obviously focus in the United States. Google's obviously just throwing in all this extra information, as we can see from page titles, which ones are getting the most views, these event names, right? This is what we covered on the page view, session start, first visit. These first visits, anything that has the first in front is a new user coming in. And so that's where Google is saying, like, if you want to go and look at any new users that are coming in, anything with the first visit or first start, that will showcase that. As we can see, conversions by event name, Google's kind of throwing in a little card here as well. And then you can add in different cards as well to kind of see traffic by city and break that down. So nothing too crazy on the general, on the reports, on the screenshot here. Still pretty much high level information that you can extract from here. They do cover a little bit on the acquisitions, different, opportunities within the traffic channels are labeled within here. Engagement, right? This is the new opportunity that Google's really pushing, is more in this engagement. You can click in and see events, conversions, obviously which pages are driving most of that traffic, and then obviously landing pages. GA4 is really dialed in for e-commerce and more of a online opportunity to pull in cost, add to cart, any of that information that there. So there's a little information that obviously doesn't mean too much within the law industry, just because we're not selling too many products here as well too. But that's what you'll see in this monetization section here. There's really nothing too much that they report in this. They touch on a little bit on user demographics and then tech as well. This information is still very high level, but if you're really trying to dive in and see potentially some information on your demographics that are coming to your site, you can get some information out of that. The main areas that I do want to focus on real quickly are your events. And so this is what we saw in that screenshot where it just looked like chaos. Page views, session start, first visit, scroll, all of these, right? And so out the box, these are all pre-built. Google, obviously has these built in, but the events that we want to track and tell Google that this is a conversion is form fills and phone calls itself. So we're not telling Google any of these events that are happening are actual conversions. So when we do have, yes.
Sorry, David,
Yes.
This is just really relevant. So Lori had actually asked a question about how to mark leads as a conversion without manually doing this. So Lori, I apologize if I don't understand the question correctly, but based on that, my understanding would be you're really not seeing a lead until they do convert. So I think it's just understanding the nomenclature that we're using. So like lead is an internal term that most law firms use. That would occur when one of these conversion points happen. So for example, with a form submission, we mark that as a conversion within GA4. And then that form submission should be talking to your CRM platform, and that's where your lead lives. So they're really kind of synonymous with each other. Just saw that as a question, and with you touching on the setup of conversions here, David, I thought it was a good opportunity to jump in. So great question, Lori. Thank you for asking.
Yes, thank you. No, that's great timing on that. And so just getting back to this, as you can see, there's room to grow with creating events here. If you want to go in and create one of these, you just obviously go to this blue button, hit create event. We have all of ours dialed in and created, but essentially you just go in and mark out the parameters that you want to track and generate an event off of that. And so then once you have these events created, you then now have to create the conversion. Now, within the event, all the legwork is done, which is easy. You would then just click into conversions. I already have it preloaded. This is what it would look like coming in. And to create that conversion event, all you have to do is continue the same naming convention. So this is our event that I named it there. I'm now telling Google that event is a conversion that we should track moving forward. And so these are the events. I had just did one quickly to throw in for one of our ebooks there, as you can see, but these are the events that now are conversion based that we are telling Google to track for us. Now that we have
just
events,
to jump in really quick, David, because I know we're at time, if any of the attendees aren't able to stay, if you have a hard stop, we will be sending this recording out to everyone. So if you have a hard stop, don't worry, you won't miss anything. We're going to go a few minutes over to finish up this live demo, and we'll answer a couple questions if necessary.
Yeah, so just one more last thing I'd like to share with you guys is within the audience tab. This is where we were talking about that you can take your channels and leverage the actual items from your events. So when you click into the audiences, there's going to be an opportunity to start with a general opportunity. These are obviously recent active users, purchasers, like I mentioned. GA4 is really generated for more of an e-commerce base there. So there's some of these that may not, matter to your law firm there. I like to start with the create a custom audience there. This gives you the blank field that you can go in. And this is where obviously you can go in and get the different parameters that you need, selecting the source traffic, right? And coming down to the first medium, just for quickly a run through, if you wanted to do organic, right? We want to look at organic traffic that potentially has converted. I want to exclude these users that potentially have submitted a form submission or a phone call. So when I get back into this phone call, we then can set whatever duration that we want. We can then see how many people within this audience that we can circle back to and how many potentially we're excluding from just this short window here. This is where you can then leverage these audience and use them as actionable items as well too for your marketing efforts. Those three sections from events, conversions, and audiences, you can make or break your account here without spending too much time within your account and getting too far into the data there. This area allows you to obviously build it out prior to what pre-built within Google Analytics.
I found this on the web for this area allows you to
And
check it out.
That way, at least we can then move forward with any of the knowledge that we've seen and coming through there. So that leaves us that we'd love to open to any questions. I know we're a few minutes over our hard stop there. But we'd love to answer any if there's any available.
And I think just while we're giving people that opportunity, one of the things that I would want to say, David, is, this definitely seems pretty daunting, especially if you're not, if you don't consider yourself tech savvy. One of the things that we've done, I know, is that we set it up for all of our clients that we're doing marketing services for. That's just a free add-on. Is there anything that you would want, obviously the events, conversions, audiences, is there anything else that you think is super important for people to know when they're setting up their account?
Outside of the normal settings, right, you want to make sure any other account is talking and linked and integrated, just like the old Universal Analytics. If you had a Google Ads account, you want to make sure this is linked and talking properly as well too. There's a couple other third-party integrations. If you have that, you can get that integrated in. That's the other one that you want to make sure that's always talking, that's always passing data back and forth. Google moving forward is going to be moving more to the data-driven attribution model. So this is going to be a big part with Google Ads. So you want to make sure both of those platforms are talking.
Okay. We do see that Ainsley asked about local services ads and how they're going to be affected with the Google overlords. One, I love that. Yeah, Google just always trying to, insert themselves into everyone's business, literally and figuratively. So, David, I'll hand it off to you, but local services ads are a unique platform due to their lack of integration with other marketing platforms. It's a really isolated platform that you set up on its own outside of Google Ads, for example. It's got its own reporting. David, what, if anything, have you seen as it pertains to GA4 and local services ads?
Very limited. That's Google being Google, like we like to say here as well. For whatever reason, Google doesn't want to share some of that information obviously coming through, just because they know how valuable that ad placement is, being on the search page at the very top now above our Google Ads. So leveraging opportunities within that, you could give a dedicated tracking number that would help, as well as providing a dedicated landing page outside of just a home page. You can contact Google support and they can help you do that. But outside the box, they want you driving traffic straight to your homepage, which doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to see that traffic behavior at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, so with local services ads obviously being call-based, all of that data is being stored within the local services ads platform. So you can't even have, if you set up a phone call conversion to be tracked in universe or in GA4, correct, David? Like those two things are totally separate. So that's where you really have to work on aggregating all of your call data. We do use a platform called CallRail that gives us some additional insights into call tracking performance. So yeah, you really need to be cognizant of where your calls are coming from, and it does take a little bit of manual work. There's a quick question again from Lori about having more than one website into GA4. Absolutely. You just set up your different properties. So for example, we have Colorado Legal Group, New Mexico Legal Group, Nebraska Legal Group are the three law firms that are part of our parent company of U.S. Legal Groups. We have them all broken out separately. You can also create different views, things like that. So very easy to do. David with a question about phone calls and form submissions. From an integrated marketing point of view, don't you think it's important to monitor everything? For example, traffic sources, page views, return visitors, etc. 100%, David. What we're saying is that much of that data is still available actually out of the box. So Google will tell you exactly how many page views you're getting. That's one of the events that comes preloaded within the platform. Traffic sources, understanding not just the source, but also the medium, so that it's Google, paid search versus organic search, the ability to look at all that holistically. So you're absolutely right. What we're saying is that when we talk to most attorneys, they want to understand what their return on investment is, where they should be allocating their marketing budget. And in order to get to that, we need to understand where those conversion points are. We need to be able to help them attribute their clients to specific channels. And that's why we really kind of zero down on that. So I would say, we're about 7 minutes over right now. So I'm going to put a bow on this. So thank you, David, for your presentation today. I think if anyone does have questions, we can certainly be available. As mentioned, we are Cardinal Concepts. We do divorce and family law marketing specifically, but we are happy to help any attorneys if they might have questions. We'll be sending out a recording of this, so feel free to reach out to us. But if you want more info about us, go to cardinalconcepts.com. You can either submit a form on our website, give us a call. We'd be happy to speak with you, and we hope everyone enjoyed this presentation. So thank you, David, and thank you for everyone who attended.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.